since last time, I'm organizing the questions in terms of the major aspects of the story. Okay, so the first is about setting. Find a good match. Let's see. Yes, well, actually, this is not very difficult. Confederate uniform, and you can guess that it's to do with soldiers. So, of course, the context will be U.S. Civil War. Okay. And garages and cotton gins are used as examples of industrialization. You know, the transition from the Old South to the New South is marked first by the Civil War. But there's actually no clear dividing line between the Old and New South because the process of industrialization happens, slowly, gradually, okay? In the Old South is the period of slavery, and also it's an agricultural society. And cupolas and spires and the square balconies are the styles used in Emily's house. It's actually 1870s, a style of the 1870s, but I don't want to tell you the exact date. So I'm turning it into a 20th century South. So that's not correct. Okay. Oh yeah. There are several generations Emily experiences. Colonel Sottery is the mayor that rules that Negro women have to wear weapons. Oh no, sorry, aprons. Aprons when they go out on the street. Okay, so he is really, and also Colonel. I think he's from the Civil War generation. Okay, and then there were the younger the several other generations Emily experiences. Okay, the free postal delivery happens. I think to Emily's at least after her the age of 40. So it must not be the Colonel Sottery's generation. Okay, free postal delivery happens like about 10 years before her death. So it's around maybe 1920s. Okay, so it's not the same period. Okay, this is for your reference. This is the Confederate states, and this is the light blue is the Union states for the Civil War, but the deep blue, the navy blue area is the territories of the Union states, and that's why the 北方, Union states won over the Confederate states, because they have larger land, etc. Okay. The second question. Yes, the China painting lesson at first was taken by the children of Colonel Sottery's generation. So it's the next generation. I'm not really sure how many years Faulkner count as one generation, whether it's 10 years or 20 years. But Emily, her father died at her age of 30, around that time, and then there was the issue of the Homer Baron, and then at the age of 40, she reappeared in society and offered a China painting lesson, and she offered the lesson for about 6 to 7 years, and the children of Colonel Sottery's generation were sent to take the lessons dutifully, as if they were going to church. So the description here, as if they were going to church, suggests that it is something still respectable. Taking the China painting lesson. Okay, so this is not a mismatch, but her refusal to pay tax at a time when it's really a time of democracy and everybody should pay tax, or her going out with Homer Baron, who is a Yankee from the North, also a laborer, a foreman, is inappropriate. Likewise, her house is an eyesore among eyesores, by the time she dies. So that again is a suggestion of her not belonging to that society. Okay. Just now we have 2 questions about setting, and now let's move on to plot. Okay. It's not a reverse chronological order. Reverse chronological order 是反时序. Okay. When the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, right? And Emily was born around that time. So it couldn't have been a story about the pre-Civil War society and post-Civil War society. Okay, so those of you who chose number 4 were tricked. I think maybe you saw that, oh, number 4, the number 4 answer looks better. I don't know. But no, it's not this one. It's number 2. It moves back and forth and has a final disclosure. So we have a kind of final surprise, a final revelation of what actually happened to Emily, or maybe between Emily and Homer Byron. A and P begins in the middle. A rose for Emily begins at the end. It starts from the ending, and then moves back and forth in different periods of her time, and then ends with the ending. Okay. A and P has a chronological order. Okay, right. Okay. So let's move on. Okay, it should be number 3. Yeah. Because it is not a turning point because she stays the same. She stays the same. But after she stopped the China painting lesson, she's completely closed off. She stopped any contact with the society. And the only connection she has then with the society is the Negro servant. Okay, the next one. Okay. Iron gray hair. This is a very important image associated with Emily. She, all of a sudden, after the Homer Byron episode, her hair turned gray. But then it becomes a salt and pepper gray ever since then. It seems that there is a life force in her that, her hair does not turn into complete whiteness. There is still a sense of power or willpower represented by the iron, the image of iron here. And iron gray hair is the last image of the story. Okay, so it should be really important. A carbon torso of an idol in a niche. This is the moment when the town people try to get rid of the smell by spreading the lime, 石灰粉. Okay, and then they see inside the window, Emily sitting there watching them. Okay, and she's a bit like an idol, motionless. And this is an image representing her not being moved, her stubbornness, her refusal to change. Okay, and the 2 small pieces. This is really a very interesting image. 2 small pieces of coal pressed into a lump of dough. Imagine one day when your face is described as a lump of dough. I guess by that time you should be very old, and maybe you cease to care about your beauty. Okay, because dough, the texture of dough is very loose. Okay, and then also it's not fairness, 就是不是洁白的颜色, it's a kind of yellowish, grayish color. Okay, and then her eyes are still very powerful. So there is a contrast here between the hardness of the coal and the soft, lax looseness of the dough. No, I think that's the contrast. And also in the same passage, this is the first encounter that we see of Emily at an old age when the people go in and ask about the tax. Okay, and then also her body is described as being bloated in water, being soaked in water for a long time, so that it's bloated, 就是有点那个浮肿. Okay, so at that point, there is a combination of images suggesting her desolateness, that she's pretty much like a corpse. But on the other hand, she's still very strong with her willpower. Okay, and the willpower is suggested through the eyes, which are like coal, pieces of coal. Okay, and also there are descriptions of her watch, her her ebony can, okay, with an ivory top, okay, 就深黑色的那个拐杖 ，okay, with an ebony with an ivory top, okay, so that suggests her refinement, that she is still a lady, okay, she still has some ornaments that belong to a lady, okay, so the first image of Emily is really quite a group of contradictions. Yeah, straddle silhouette is not Emily but her father. You know, this is the image people, the town people have of Emily and her father. That her father is always in a way between Emily, a slender white figure in the back, and the father. Straddle is not a frequently used word. Usually we use straddle. 就 straddle 和 spraddle 实际上同一个字，就是跨坐的意思。好 ，spraddle silhouette 就是那个黑影 ，OK， 侧面的黑影 ，OK。Okay, so this is for your reference. Contradictory signs of Emily: elegant, classy, but stubborn. This is the first image we have. Also, there are always images of her which shows a contradiction between her deathliness and her strong will. Okay, like her hair, iron gray, like hair of an active man. On the other hand, the pillow she in her bedroom, you know, is yellow and moldy with age and lack of sunlight. You know, so there are a lot of images of death associated with Emily and Emily's house. Also, dust is another image, a dominant image. Okay, and the background, this is the father's control, and Emily being the last Grierson. Okay, the next question. Okay, she is not really sought after because all the young men were rejected by her father. She's pretty much isolated. Okay, she should have been sought after, and the older generation at her funeral imagines that they treat her genteelly, but they really didn't have a chance when Emily's father was around. Okay. Also, remember what the town people said about her being, the Grierson families being too proud. And then finally, after the father's death, she became humanized. Okay, and that was the time when she is able to socialize. Otherwise, she's pretty much constrained at home, you know, with the father being in the way. Okay, so she is a Southern belle because of her position as an aristocratic lady. Okay, but this reason really doesn't fit her, because she's not really pursued. She's very lonely. As a young lady, she's very lonely. Okay, so the correct answer should be number 2. She is not because her father is in the way. Okay, let's move on. After her father's death, at first she refuses to accept it. She insists that her father is not dead. But then she gives in to the town people's insistence. And after a while, she comes out with her hair cut short, and her face looks sad, but I think serene. Okay, and that's the time when she tries to socialize. She tries to reestablish her life. Okay. Here, yes, this is the first response she had to her father's death. That she was dressed as usual, and she showed no grief because she refused to take the fact of death. And then in her room, her room is decorated as a bridal chamber, because she wants to retain a kind of past. You know, there is another novel with a kind of similar plot element about a bride who keeps the bridal chamber all the same. 快肉余生记，那个 Great Expectation. I hope that sometime you'll get to read it. Okay. In that novel, there is also an old woman, you know, who keeps a bridal chamber. Well, actually, it's I think the wedding ceremony. here is a bridal chamber, and there is a wedding ceremony, including the wedding cake. She keeps the whole thing unchanged, and then they go into mold, etc. And this is the same thing. Although the decorations are the same, they are all covered by dust. Okay, so this is an example of her refusal to change. The same thing, her wanting poison, is a way for her to keep the person she wants. Okay, to use death as a way to retain things, to keep things unchanged. Okay, so we have dealt with setting and plot and Emily, and now let's move on to the narrators. Let's take a look. Yet, this happens after the town people know that she goes to buy the arsenic. Okay, and then this is the time when they see them around, going around on the street. And then they saw that, they also see that Emily bought an outfit for a guy. So they saw that, they are married. But then later they know that Homer Baron is not to get married. He doesn't like to get married. So then they saw that, she should kill herself, etc. Okay, like buying arsenic to kill herself. Poor Emily actually is an expression used not to be sympathetic, but a kind of condescending remark, showing their disagreement with Emily. Okay, and the last one I think is a sympathetic remark, and this shows how the town people understand why Emily cling to her father. Even though she was seriously controlled by the father. She would have wanted to be liberated from the father, but at the moment of the father's death, the father being the only thing she had, she clings to him. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, let's move on. This is for your reference how the narrators keep changing their views about Emily. One thing very mysterious is the narrator's age. I think Faulkner really didn't specify it. So it should be just the dominant group of the time. So like towards the end, it is the young generation. And then when Emily was young, it is also the people who are gossiping, who have their collective view, who form their collective view of that society. So it's not really specified the gender or the age of the narrators. Okay, at first they saw that the Griersons are too proud. So when Emily remains single at 30, they feel vindicated. They feel that we're right, you are wrong. Okay, you are wrong to be too proud. And after the father's death, I think there is a mixture of their responses. On the one hand, they feel sorry for Emily. Like the expression given here, they are sympathetic, but then at the same time they are glad. Okay, because they finally one who was supposed to be a goddess now is brought down to the earth, and she becomes humanized. Okay, and there were moments of their sympathy with Emily, which I'll introduce later. For instance. This is what I quoted in the question. The poor Emily expression is part of the gossips or part of the criticism they have of Emily. And they feel really sorry for her at the smell episode. When they see Emily, they know that Emily knows that they are trying to get rid of her smell. Okay, and that's something disgraceful. So that's when they feel really sorry for her. And also, I think the implication is that she's completely degraded. She's no longer a lady, okay, for them.